In a world desperate to tear itself apart, only one man, and some other people, stand in the way of total destruction. Together they will right the wrongs, make bad, good, and single-handedly destroy evil, together. Who is this man, you may ask? This man is Geoff.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Geoff Jones and Friends Make It Better. The show takes life's little annoyances, breaks them down, spins them around, pours some water in a pot and places a glass bowl filled to the brim with chocolate and Rice Krispies over it. Melts it all together and place it in the fridge to turn into something which is quite simply better. I'm joined on this episode by author Tim Hardie. Hi Tim, how you doing?
Hi there, Geoff. Thanks for inviting me on.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure to have you. How have you been? Been well?
Yeah, been good. It's and obviously tonight, Friday night, so clearly that is the night to record a podcast. So I'm here and raring to go. And my agent obviously made me do this, but we're not going to let that get in the way of a decent show and recording, are we?
That's it. It's Friday night. Where else would you rather be than sat here with me? And also, though, hopefully, the fact that we're talking about being Friday night, even if someone's listening to this on maybe a Tuesday lunchtime whilst they're sat at work, it'll make them believe or feel at least like it's a Friday night.
Yeah, because nothing says Friday night more than like sitting in a darkened room staring at a laptop screen. Really, I mean that just
well, for some maybe, Tim. But
actually,
that's a different topic.
We're not here to talk about that tonight, are we?
That's not. What are we here to talk about tonight, Tim? What is what we're making better for you this evening?
Well, right. Well, I'm hoping, Geoff, that you can help me out with this. I think it's become a phobia in my mind. Which is, I suppose we're all phobias if you stop and think about it. So, it for me, I've started to realise that I'm avoiding certain tasks. Maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. But one that is particularly difficult for me to get to grips with right now is wiring in the back of my telly. I did say, as a premise, do you fancy talking about that? And I remember you biting my hand off, didn't you? So I'm hoping you come up with some good ideas.
See, this is the thing. So the technology I get, and okay. So wiring stuff to the back of TV. Give me the lowdown. Are you talking your DVD player, or are we a bit more technical than that?
Well, the concept of the smart TV, big, obviously massive thing. So I've got the sort of setup where it's sat on a TV stand, and it's one of those things. They have the really helpful hoop at the back. So basically, you've got like this. You've got your TV. You've got your set-top box of whatever description. You've got your DVD player. There's a little games console snuck in there as well. You've got your stereo, and to keep things nice and tidy, you've got this hoop that you feed all these wires through, which basically means that you end up with, you cannot see as you feed through the hoop which wire because you've got to release it, take it with your other hand, and at that point it's just basically mayhem, isn't it? So you end up with this bundle of stuff just fed through this hoop, connected to a random assortment of ports and sockets and dials and what have you. And that's fine until you need to do something. So as soon as you need to do so at one point we actually had, I don't know why we had two set-top boxes. So in order, we had to alternate between them, but we only had a socket that had 4K.
That sounds dodgy.
It was dodgy. And so you'd end up with this sort of game of Russian, which do I unplug? And you should be able to look at the back of the telly, go, that wire goes to there, I shall unplug this device. And sure as eggs is eggs, you would unplug said device, and it was not the device you wanted to unplug. And I just thought, why is this so difficult? But then you look at it and it's just this monstrous thing. It's just tangled and horrible. And it just brings me out in hives, quite frankly.
So I take it, and my TV is actually on my wall as well. So not only does everything feed into the back of it, but the brackets they give you and everything they put on, there's not actually enough room to get your hand in, let alone actually see what you're trying to pull out in replacement, because they don't give you enough ports. Right, we live in an age now, Tim, where you can do everything through your TV. So I've got my Alexas and Netflixes and Amazons and terrestrial. Although I've not watched terrestrial TV for so long, although I'd have to pay for it. But that's a different thing, Tim. But we're not here to solve that today. We're not here to solve the BBC. We've got like everything goes through it, and then my TV. Thank goodness for one thing that it's not the giant TVs of old. Yeah, there's going to be.
You say that, but you're sort of building there a premise, aren't you? That it's wonderful that your TV does all this stuff. No, it's not. It isn't, is it? It's just annoying. This is all these cables are going into the back to feed lots of devices that, frankly, in my life, I don't need really. So and then
I bet you use them though.
Do I? But do
I don't know.
I know we don't know. I'm an author. I don't get out much. I spend most of Friday nights like in a dark room
talking to me.
Laptop. That's a different story again. But it's more. Well, yeah, a lot of time spent writing. To be perfectly honest with you, but yeah, when I do watch TV, I want to watch TV, and I don't want it to be an assault course of the senses. I want you to get to what I want to watch with the minimum amount of bloody fuss. And instead of which, it's like, literally some people, their idea of watching TV now is scrolling to decide what to bloody watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that in the name of entertainment is just lunacy. And especially that a really annoying thing that these your Netflixes and your Amazons do now, they play a little snippet of a thing that you've hovered over for 3 seconds just to make it so annoying you have to leave that one and go on to the next. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's again. I think we're suckered in here. We're not actually watching telly. We're interacting with a confusing, bewildering experience, quite frankly.
So yeah, okay, I get it. So the TV used to be, and if we're going to get kind of deep about the TV on a metaphorical level, if that's really a word, the TV used to be a very large device which one person could not carry, and it sat in the corner of the room, and you watched on a Sunday your little house on the prairie until your dad came in and wanted to watch Grandstand. That was kind of what TV was, and then you left it alone. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a sucker for it. I've got every subscription service you've got. I've got me Virgin Media, all the channels. I pay far too much, of which every time I say no, I'm leaving, they say, well, we'll give you this for free. Like, why didn't you do that before? But that's another issue
I have today, Geoff.
This list is getting bigger of things on standard. Yeah. And then what you do have though is the TV's very cleverly, I suppose, it's been remarketed into, okay, it's always been the focal point of the house, but it's making it more important. So in throughout the last couple of decades, you've got handheld devices, obviously PCs, laptops, all these things really pushing their way through for gaming or for everything else. But the TV's also evolved to be internet ready, and look how quickly you can get on Netflix on your TV. You don't have to go on your laptop anymore and play games on it, and you can do and it's become a convenience thing. So I don't know, like what kind of a commercialism, and you've unlocked a box here, Tim.
I've got an issue here with what you're saying though, because your premise there is that it's inherently helpful to have your TV connected to the Wi-Fi, and I don't see the need. I mean, basically, TV used to watch a program, it would start, it would have a middle, and it would have an end.
Yeah.
And that was, in fact, pretty much every TV program follows that pattern, doesn't it? With the internet.
Do you know what? You'd be a great author.
I would. You know what? I need to think about that. I should maybe live that dream.
It's like, all right, Tim, end it already. No.
Yeah. It's been such fun. It's so good.
We'll get to the saga later.
But yeah, I think this is the point. The point I'm trying to make here is that Wi-Fi and TV, what it's done is forced us to move into that digital age. So before I could watch a TV program, now I have the added frisson that it could, I've got that digital pixelation experience where, for some reason, people are just big blocky, more weird things on my screen for a few seconds, and usually at a crucial point of thing, or the spectacular buffering. And why does it need to buffer? Nothing else buffers like the TV does. It's just it's actually taking it back. And the other thing that really confuses me,
too much
in this bundle of wires, of course, even though it's Wi-Fi ready, you've still got to plug in the aerial, which is analog tech, isn't it? So why? How can it be both analog and digital? It's just incomprehensible, isn't it? So you've got this odd device that you then plug it with another wire. It's the only wire that's not black. That's the only saving grace of connecting it in to the internet. At least there's a yellow or white cable that you plug into the back. But it's just like, no, it's just it's moving backwards. So you can't find what you want to watch. When you do find what you want to watch, you can't watch it because your internet's up the spout. But you've still got to rely upon the aerial and a big bit of metal stuck on your roof that no one understands why. I don't think any of this. I think you could strip it all back and still watch through the aerial. I think that's what's going on. And all this other stuff is just basically some kind of weird myth they've sold us, a smart TV. It's not smart. They're smart for selling it to you, but it has no purpose at all other than to make the viewing experience a technological challenge and a nightmare. Now, I can remember, I'm a child of the 70s, so I can remember that what the TV you described before, the focal point. I do remember that. They were big, you're right. They were warm, they created heat, they would heat the house if you're on a cold winter night. And I can remember I was growing up with 3 channels, that felt like plenty. Back then it really did. It felt, and what shall we watch? There were things, you knew what you wanted to watch. And I can remember Channel 4 coming on. And the sort of excitement of that was a big event. And then I remember about 15 years of Channel 4, Channel 5 came along, and I thought, do we need Channel 5? But that was basically it was the thin end of the wedge, because not long after Channel 5, all hell let loose, and then frankly all these channels we never needed or heard of appeared, and then all of a sudden we needed technology to bring them into our homes. And I don't feel any better for it. I really don't.
So would you rather then, a serious question? So you pick up your TV guide on a Sunday, and then you can plot out the rest of your week of what you're going to watch. Obviously, if there's nothing you want to watch on, then you just don't watch television at that point in time that night or that day. Or would you rather be able to have availability of everything and choose when you watch it, but there's just too much of it? There's a pro and a con to either, isn't there? There's the simplicity versus just an absolute barrage. Before you answer that, I really need to there's one thing you said, it's kind of the algorithms, and they kind of show you a little bit of something. My Netflix, now I don't know if someone has accessed my Netflix. I have no idea why, and it does my head in, that my continue watching has got things that no one in the house has started watching, and a lot of them are kind of these risque foreign series. So unless you then go in and watch the entire thing, you can't get rid of. And then I've got to watch, I don't know, I couldn't even tell the Femme Fatale of Bristol. I don't want to watch Femme Fatale of Bristol. But that's kind of the side bit.
It's quite a dilemma, and you put me in a very difficult position there, haven't you? Because there are a number of different possibilities there.
There are a number.
One, you've been hacked, and probably that's the best outcome for you right now, because the other possibilities here are
my 15-year-old son.
Yeah, 15-year-old son is watching said film, and
moving on.
Nothing wrong, or it's you that's watching them, and you're trying to use the cover for the fact that you put it on, and you want to create a podcast to provide an excuse for basically a family row that you're having, within the real world. And I don't know how I feel about being used in that way.
You're right. So I've created this whole podcast. The last. This is what
whole series. The whole series.
This whole thing has purely to try and give myself an alibi. So you've.
So
you found me out.
Yeah, Geoff's been hacked. Everybody, it's tragic news. It's.
Was it the old? Oh, my phone was in my pocket, and it must have just gone into Netflix and selected that. It's crazy. I don't know. That's the official statement that I'm giving to the Sun, anyway.
Yeah.
newspaper.
In all seriousness, they do. I think those things do drop off eventually, but you'll just have to watch lots of other things to push them right to the screen and just pretend it never happened.
Some Belgian femme fatale. No, I mean, other things. But back to sorry for the segue.
Going back to your original question.
Yes.
I think what you were saying, yeah, you're right. Before the TV was a thing that you interacted with on its own terms, and now it's become, it's basically that menu of choice, isn't it? And you can, like you say, you can watch whenever. It's viewing on demand. It's an amazing innovation, and I suppose I think I'm projecting the sheer terror of trying to get into a position to be able to enjoy that. It's fine on the tablet, it's fine on the laptop, but for some reason, getting the telly to do it is just mind-bogglingly complex for no obvious reason. I was happy with an electric socket and a plug, a wire going into the aerial. I was absolutely fine with that, and I feel like ever since video recorders came on the scene, and there were two plugs. 2 cables, and I thought, it's getting a bit dangerous. I mean, it was the thin end of the wedge. It just opened up that Pandora's box of technological terror, basically, for me. That's the question I've got. Why is it easy to do on my laptop with everything in front of me, and yet the TV makes it so hard? That's my problem.
Yeah, and I get TV, and this is kind of the shame part. So I very proudly say, yes, I hang my however many inch TV on the wall, but the amount of wires coming down from it. So you've got the main plug, which they still need. I've got my Fire Stick thing from Amazon. That's a plug. If you want to give me some money, that'd be great. We've got a Virgin Media box. We've got a DVD player, because there are still things that you can't, even though we've got the world of everything at our fingertips, you still can't watch Big Trouble in Little China if you want.
Exactly. So you still need it.
So I still need.
Yeah, exactly.
I've still got to use batteries in the DVD player remote. And we've got kind of all of these things plugged in, and the wires just angle. I mean, my TV actually, when it's switched off, looks like one of those things from The Matrix, the robot thing that fly around. There's so many tentacles coming off it. It looks like it's going to eat the house.
I have to say, that sounds extraordinarily shit, Geoff.
It is. Every so often I wrap something around them, so at least there's just one thing trailer.
It sounds worse.
That's because it's not. I wasn't allowed to put. And I'm throwing my wife under the bus here, because I wasn't allowed to put it where I wanted to. Say, okay, where it is makes sense. But unless you dig a hole in the wall, all the wires are going to be there, because there's nothing to cover it. So apparently now I've got to spend 300 quid on a fake fireplace, not a real fireplace, a fake fireplace to put in front of it to hide the wires. Why? Why have I got to spend 300 pounds on a fireplace to hide wires of a TV I wanted in a different position?
You're making my point for me, aren't you, really?
I am.
I don't think I need to say more.
What
you're basically saying is you're having a fake fireplace put underneath your hanging television. I mean, you could solve this by having a TV stand, frankly, but then you'd have at least the untidiness is low. It's low down, and it's it's not on the eye line, and you can pretend. I can walk past it and pretend that abomination isn't in the corner of my living room. But what you're doing, it's all hanging out, isn't it? That's far worse.
We used to have a stand that it was on, a nice TV thing, and it's one of these IKEA jobs which takes 2 people 2 hours to put together, but apparently takes one Geoff 2.5 weeks to put together. And we had that, and I thought that was fine. Some of it had a TV in, some of it had all the appliances. There was even a nice little plant there, and then all of a sudden one day that wasn't good enough, and we had to get rid of that. And I think this is the long game of my wife, because we had a fireplace in the house. It was a fake fireplace, but actually, this is nothing. We moved into our house. There was a fake fireplace over a real fireplace. I understand this kind of weird 70s brickwork over a real fireplace, none of which is all boarded up. So I'm digressing massively here. I get this.
Yeah.
And there's actually no point to what I'm going to say, but I'm just getting stuff.
Well, carry on then, because you need to get to the end.
So I had to get rid of all of this these bricks. They're real bricks. I had to counter this whole thing. But now we've got to get this fake fireplace in for the TV just to cover all the wires. Now, what we're saying then is we need, right, okay, and hear me out on this, is mobile phones, you can now charge them wirelessly just by connecting to a sensor. Do we need technology to enhance more and to be able to charge appliances wirelessly?
Well, it just sounds like a whole load of shit that won't work. Yeah, I mean, that is.
I've just gone through this whole thing to come to this realization, and you're just instantly calling it shit, Tim. That's
and you know, am I sorry? No, I'm not that sorry. I think. No, I mean, yeah. So what you're basically saying, you're waiting for a technological utopia to come along, so you don't have to buy a fake fireplace, and that's your wife. Is that what you're saying to me?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That is 100% what I'm saying.
Right. Yes. I don't know how to respond.
Okay, right. So aside from technology advancing by, I don't know, 50 to 100 years, how do we solve it? So I'm going to ask you. Oh no, I'm not going to ask you. We will look at solving this. However, technology can't go backwards because no one's going to accept that. So we have to look at what we've got, which is ultimately having less complications of doing things that used to be simple. Yeah, so if we look at break it down, it used to be a case of watching television. Switch the television on, you click a couple of buttons, you find what you want. We want to get back to that, but maybe with the choice, the simplicity of what it was with the advances that we've got now.
That sounds great. That sounds absolutely wonderful. But we don't have that, do we? I suppose what we currently got, you're still there basing that on technology advanced to a point where that becomes possible. Because right now I've got a smart TV that makes me look like a dickhead. So we're kind of. And can I go on to a little aside here about remote controls as well?
Oh my, yes, please do.
The other thing that has happened, and again, there's a technological bullet to this, but I've never seen it so far, is the plethora of remotes that only work with a specific device. I look at my TV, and underneath it we have, I'm not joking, it's 5 remotes. I don't know what 2 of them do. I have no idea. One is tiny, and I think it's to do with Amazon, but it doesn't appear to bear any function to what then proceeds when we use Amazon normally. So I don't know what's going on there. And they're the one bit that is wireless, aren't they? And they're the one bit you can never find. They're almost designed to be smooth and slippy, and then they will just disappear under the nearest cushion without any invitation whatsoever. So then we never had the problem in the past. The TV, you'd get up and you would have a lovely analog knob. You'd turn it to get your channels. It was brilliant. And then when it moved on, and there were only 4 channels, you would press one of 4 buttons to get the channel. And again, they've solved a problem that didn't need solving. The problem of I can't be asked to get up off the sofa and move 3 feet has now been solved by 5 remotes I don't understand in relation to a load of tech I don't understand, wired together in a way that's incomprehensible.
Don't want to be clicking
I more strong about this. Actually, realised when I came on, I thought, God, I'm stuck here. Actually, it just really annoys me. And there should be a universal remote. I can see you trying to come in, but I'm not going to let you. There should be a universal remote here that just does. A DVD player plays DVDs, so just have a button that play. But no, it has to have its own remote that sends off its own signal to make that thing play. Why is there not one big remote that can't disappear into the sofa because it's too big, that does everything? A remote about 3 foot wide, that becomes the focal hub of the house, and that's the thing that keeps you warm late at night.
The radiation generating, because it takes 14
massive remote. That would make things better.
I'm going to pick, because I do actually think that kind of inadvertently have kind of hit the nail on the head, not quite with a kind of radiation generating remote, but I'm going to jump on the remote bandwagon, because I fully agree. And what's even more annoying is that I guarantee at one point every year there will be, so each of them take, you know, 2 AA or AAA batteries, and we've got these 5 controllers. I will guarantee at some point at least 3 of these items, these controllers, the battery will go.
Yeah.
And such is the resolve in this house that people will not get up, they will not find the batteries. They will just move the batteries from one controller to the next. So you never know which controller is going to work. It's controller Russian roulette. So you don't actually know what you can ever use. And that annoys the hell out of me because, you know, we've got, I don't know, Wii remotes and all these other remotes. Why can't TV remotes just have their own little holder, like a wireless telephone, which just charges them up, right? Yeah?
That is a good idea.
That's a good idea because then we don't have to worry about it. However, you're right. One controller to rule them all. Okay, that's definitely a thing. But then surely why not have? So we talk about a TV that can do everything. Why can't just we have a system that does it? And I understand. Hang on, I need to kind of extend this thinking out because I appreciate there's PlayStations and Xbox and Fuji DVD players and X, Y, and Z, but a TV used to come with a DVD player on the side. Before that, a VHS player in it. That was technology. If you had an all-in-one thing, you were going.
Yeah.
Your parents were doing well. They were big, but they did it. So yeah, the TVs don't do that because we want them thinner, right? So okay, keep the TV thin. The TV could be a monitor. What we want is an all-in-one box, which will probably be the size of a table, so you can use it to keep your drinks on it. Generates heat, charges remotes, but maybe instead of having to buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, you can just buy, I don't know, the tech. I'm so technologically uneducated. It's unbelievable. So this is probably impossible. But you just put it in. You just change, you update what you want, and everything's contained in this one nice, easy to use thing, which is one plug or one thing wire attaches to your TV. You've got something charging your TV from somewhere in the house, but we don't know where that is. I think that's the only way, isn't it? Which is something which I don't actually think is possible.
Yeah. So you're basically describing like a universal hub, aren't you, of some description that all tech goes into.
Yeah.
It sounds great. I do like the idea of only having one wire, but I'm.
And actually, just to reaffirm my argument, so you've got things like certain so with PlayStation, Xbox. I'm not a gamer myself, but from what I understand, they're doing away from discs and cartridges if they didn't get rid of those at the end of the Sonic generation. Yeah, so everything's online anyway. So as long as you've got the drivers, the RAMs, the ROMs, other technical things, which I have no idea what I'm talking about, then you don't actually need something to put a DVD in. I think that's it. Why won't that work, Tim?
Why won't it work? Well, I think it would work. I think the way you're describing it sounds like something you'd build in your garden shed. So I do think we need to I think we need a proof of concept device with somebody that's technologically minded that could assemble it. But yeah, I think the idea of everyone has the same basic entertainment needs, therefore creating something that makes exploring that, feasible, or I think it's got legs, but I'm not sure. Are we making the world better describing technology that doesn't exist? And I have got my own theory for how to resolve my wiring problem. By the way, I did come into this podcast prepared.
Oh, you've taken notes. Oh, I'll tell you, I've gone off. Hit me with it.
Well, it's not that revelatory, but I basically ask a teenager. That's what you have to do. They have no problem with this whatsoever, and I think for me that's the big takeaway, that you've got old. You've got to the point where, frankly, you're that kind of person that, like you say, with the remote control, the batteries don't work. So you'll resolutely just have one bottom cheek on the sofa as your leg is stretched to try and make that signal reach the particular device that actually doesn't relate to at all because you picked up the wrong remote. Actually, the fundamental thing is I'm older. I've become outmoded by technology. I've reached the point where I don't want to learn anymore. And therefore, it's time to hand on to the new generation and accept that in the future, if I need anything plugging into my home once the kids have left home, they're going to have to come back and sort it for me, and that is just simply the way of the world. And when I accept that, I no longer have the fear of the bundle of wires at the back of the telly, because there is actually a solution out there. Or we could build your thing. We need to find a name for it though that's not Geoff's thing. I think Geoff's thing. Yeah.
Oh, right. So basically, what we've, as far as I can tell, we've got three choices. Three very credible choices. One is a utopian future, where these things just exist, and we accept that because it's a utopian future. The second is I call Bill Gates, and so I've got an idea. He takes it on, invests millions in it, and gets it up and running.
Yeah.
Or we ask the younger generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's the winner. I mean, maybe I don't think we can go as far as offering teenagers to every household in the UK. However,
no, that sounds weird, doesn't it?
That's we don't want to go that. We don't want to go that far.
I prefer handing the baton on. It's handing the baton on to the next generation. I think that's a better way to put it.
That's definitely a better way.
It is definitely a better way to put it. Trust me on this.
I think that's technology solve. It's as simple as the future generation. It's the future generation's problem.
Yes.
Let them deal with the wires. Let them deal with too much content. Let them deal with buffering and massive boxes in their front room that does everything. If we get a problem with technology, we'll just call a younger person.
I think that's very sensible and very good advice.
I think that's a massive win, Tim.
Good tip, mate.
Well, there you go. With technology made better, please. I guess that's genius, Tim. And if you had said that about, I don't know, 30 minutes ago, this whole thing would have been done a lot quicker. But yeah, please,
I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, so much fun. Tim, what have you got now? We've put that to it. Now we've made the world better, a little bit better. What have you got? What's going on in your life? What's going on with the writing world?
So as you've alluded to, I'm an author, and my agent said I had to start promoting more actively. So I've been delighted to come onto this podcast and talk about whatever that was. It's been great. I've written a.
I'm using that as a sound clip, as an advert, by the way.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's yours. It's yours. Come on to the show, and if it's over before you know it. I've got basically a fantasy series called the Brotherhood of the Eagle out at the moment. This promotion's definitely sliding down the
Brotherhood of the Eagle.
Brotherhood of the Eagle. So basically, if you think of Game of Thrones, but I've basically sort of transposed it to more of a Vikings kind of led setting. It's that kind of aesthetic if you think of those two TV shows. So I've got a couple of books out at the moment. Starts at Hall of Bones, and the second book is called Sundered Souls. And I've finished writing the third book, so it's a quartet, but I've got to as far as book 3 now, which is called Lost Gods, and that's coming out hopefully in November. Not quite got a firm date yet, but its release is imminent. So that's on the blocks and ready to go.
And that's 2022 for anyone listening to this in a utopian future.
Yes, absolutely.
It's in the past, and we're now speaking from your massive box in the front room. But that's what's the website?
Yeah, so you can find me. Website address is www.timhardyauthor.co.uk. So UK-based author. And if you want to find me on social media, the links are all there anyway. Actually, everything's on the website. But I'm on Twitter at Tim Hardie Author, and Facebook is Tim Hardie Author Public.
Fantastic. And do you know what? I do own a copy of Hall of Bones, and it's there. It's the first book I'm going to read when I retire. But no, I tell you what, it's best of luck. Like I said, everything will go in the bio. And I tell you, this has been. I just hope that I haven't laughed too much and it just drowns out anything you said, because I've had so much fun. I really appreciate you coming on. And hopefully you'll join me again in the future, and all the best with the books and the saga.
Yeah, cheers, Geoff. That's been good fun. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.